So let's be real. Pretty much all of us are using generative AI now, right? And that brings up this huge practical question that everyone's asking. Yup, this one right here. Whether you're a student looking at a paragraph ChatGPT just spat out or, a professional trying to clean up an AI-generated email, you have absolutely asked yourself this question. So how do we get past that feeling of just, it looks good to me? To really answer that, we've got to change how we think about this stuff. We have to stop seeing AI as some kind of mysterious magic box that's either a work of genius or, a cheating machine. Instead, we need to start seeing it for what it actually is, a toolbox. And just like any toolbox, it's filled with specific tools for specific jobs. The power is in knowing which tool to use, and that's a skill you can learn. Okay, so to get started, let's pull back the curtain a little bit. Let's see how the people who actually build these things grade their own work. I promise you, it's way more sophisticated than you might think. Back in the day, figuring out if an AI was any good was, well, it was pretty basic. Researchers used these automated scores with names like BLEU and ROUGE. And what they did was they basically just compare the AI's writing to a perfect human-written example and literally just count how many words matched up. But here's where it all falls apart. Look at this. A metric like BLEU would actually punish an AI for writing the word speedy if the human reference said quick, even though they mean the exact same thing. And ROUGE, it would give a higher score to a long, rambling answer just because it used more of the original words. The bottom line here is huge. They were both completely, totally, semantically blind. They could count words, sure, but they had zero idea what those words actually meant. So for the kind of creative, nuanced AI we're all using now, yeah, those old metrics just don't cut it, not even close. So the entire field has shifted to something called holistic and human-centered evaluation. And this is a perfect example of that new approach. Stanford's HELM framework gives a full 360-degree view. It goes way beyond just is it correct to ask much bigger, more important questions. Like, is the output fair? Is it creating toxic content? Is it transparent? It gets that a model that's accurate but also, say, biased or harmful is not a good model, period. But honestly, this might be the most important takeaway from the experts. What makes an AI good completely depends on the context. A study on healthcare chatbots showed this perfectly. Think about it. An AI that's great for a patient needs to be super empathetic, use really simple language. But an AI for a doctor, looking at that same case, it needs to be incredibly precise, use technical jargon, and be 100% fact-based. The AI that's a lifesaver for one person is a total disaster for the other. All right, so that's how the pros do it. Now, let's take that knowledge and build our own skills. How can you become a kind of AI connoisseur and start spotting the little signs, the tells of unedited AI writing? This quote right here, it is the key to everything. See, AI models aren't really thinking or making thoughtful choices. They're making statistical predictions. They're just incredible mimics, copying the patterns they saw in billions of pages of text without ever understanding why a human would write that way. They're copying the style, not the substance. And because they're just mimics, they tend to overuse certain words and phrases that show up a lot in, formal academic papers or corporate reports. So here are some classic tells to watch for. Those empty transition words like furthermore or in conclusion, super formal verbs like utilize when you could just say use, and that old classic, not only, but also. These are all little red flags of a machine trying very hard to sound smart. But the real flaw goes deeper than just word choice. AI has no sense of rhythm, no sense of the lyrical flow between sentences. It can make one sentence grammatically perfect, but in the process, it often breaks the connection to the sentence before and after it. It just feels disjointed. Now, this brings us to something that causes a ton of anxiety for people, especially students: AI detectors. You might be worried about being falsely accused of cheating. Well, let me tell you, there is a very good reason you feel that way. So this is the most critical distinction we need to make. An AI detector is not a plagiarism checker. A plagiarism checker, it scans a huge database and finds exact copied text. Its result is based on proof. An AI detector, it doesn't check any database. All it does is analyze your writing style and make a guess. Its result is just a probability. It's a guess, not proof. And because they're just guessing, the verdict from experts, from researchers, from major universities is crystal clear. AI detectors are simply not reliable. They are not a trustworthy tool for making any kind of high-stakes decision. And the consequences of using them are actually pretty serious. These tools have a really high rate of false positives, meaning they flag human writing as AI generated all the time. This creates this awful culture of mistrust in schools and workplaces. And even worse, there's evidence they are biased against non-native English speakers whose writing styles might not fit the narrow patterns the detector is looking for. So, if AI can write the words and AI detectors can't be trusted, what does that mean for us? What's our role now? Well, it's not just to copy and paste. Our job is actually evolving into something way more important. We become the human in the loop. This is an active, really critical process. Yeah, you prompt the AI, that's step one. But then you have to critically, and I mean critically, evaluate every single word it gives back. You're the editor, you're the fact checker, you're the creative director who decides what to keep, what to throw out, and how to shape it to meet your actual goal. The human is always, always in control. And the one essential skill that powers this whole process, it's metacognition. It's that amazing human ability to think about your own thinking, to ask yourself, why did I accept that suggestion from the AI? Why did I reject that one? This kind of critical self-reflection is your most valuable tool. It's the one thing that truly separates our intelligence from artificial prediction. And that really just leaves us with this one last thought. AI is an incredible tool for generating words, for brainstorming, for getting a first draft on the page. But it has no judgment. It has no context. It has no values. That part, well, that's still up to us.